At posting this stuff out on Facebook and other locations. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good. I can hear you really good too. Yeah, so we're live here, and I do believe we're out on Rumble. Hopefully, we are. Let's see where else. Where is it saying we
No,
are?
we're on YouTube.
Yeah, seeing this stuff
Oh, hold on.
out on
I know.
Facebook.
Lower that volume.
Yeah, let's see here. So I'm gonna actually change our view here. I thought I was.
Okay.
It's not allowing me to do that. I chose, oh, I see where it is. Let's go landscape. There we go. That's much better. Okay, so everybody, Buckshot is back. Buck is in the house. How are you, Buck?
I'm good. It's been a little stressful the last couple of days, and a little busy running around, but definitely, I don't complain. So that there's no room for complaint in my life. So, but other than that, I'm good. Just a little. I almost forgot about this show today. So, thank you
I
for
know it's
reminding
like
me.
2 o'clock your time, and it's 1 o'clock my time. We're kind of doing this day thing. I appreciate you being here. I know. So, Buck, you brought up a really good point. You're running late. There's people out there. We are in the middle of a transition, and it can be very, I don't know, uncomfortable for a lot of people right now.
Yeah.
What are you seeing out there? And you're going through the transition yourself.
Yeah, without still unable to find work, I'm getting towards the end of my unemployment. After this week, I got 7 weeks of unemployment left before the shit really hits the fan. And I haven't been able to find work in my field. So, me and my another friend of mine is going through the same thing, highly qualified, right? In the military. She can't find work. Luckily that, I've been able to keep up and Amanda's works, so she's able to chip in every once in a while. But then again, she hasn't even been able to work because she can't see out of her eyes still. It's a strong steroid, but it's not clearing up as fast as she would like to be able to work. And so it's very frustrating. The bills don't stop, right? We still got bills to pay, and you know, all this talk about the RV and the Jasara crap. It's like, it's, we can't wait. We gotta deal with reality right here, and it's just, so it is stressful. I do try to stay positive, but it's in this world
But
that
you're
we still live
human.
in. Times are rough and stressful.
Yeah, but you're human at the same time. I mean, it's
Yeah.
kind of like I said in the beginning, we're going through a huge transition, and a lot of people aren't even understanding what's going on. I posted a picture out on, I think it was Facebook. It was I thought it was funny. It was almost like a collage of the current events that were happening on the left side, and somebody came back and posted and made a comment that said, "The Republicans, I'm so ashamed of the Republicans." And it was, what we were told, what was happening, hunters, snorting cocaine,
Yeah.
Biden sleeping and eating ice cream, and that's about it, and then Hillary looking like a lunatic, and then Obama with the auto pen thing, right? And it was a collage of all this, and I'm thinking, what reality are we really in? The reality is the people are feeling the pain, and the pain is, okay, yeah, they got all these companies coming in here right now. Nobody's getting the jobs. Who's getting these jobs? Um,
Yeah.
it's just one of those things that they're creating all this stuff for a certain generation, and I don't know if they're thinking about what generation are you? Are you millennium, or what are you?
I'm the X marks the spot.
Yeah. Yeah, so you got the X's that basically picking up where the boomers left off, and everybody wants to blame the boomers for the way the world is. You got to go back 250 years. So we are going to be celebrating 250 years. But where's that celebration coming from? We haven't seen anything. We're not reaping the benefits, and it is a pain. It
Yeah.
truly is a pain, and you're a perfect example of that, where you're looking for work, and now it's going to be almost like you're going to have to reinvent yourself again, Buck.
Yeah, well, I haven't mentioned this yet, but because South Carolina unemployment, you got to apply for 2 jobs every week, to show them that you're looking for jobs. And I actually had an interview this morning for the city of Greenville as a street cleaner. Now it's a street cleaner, but it's a city job,
It's
city
public service
benefits.
work.
Yeah, it's public service work, which of course, I like public helping get back to the public. But it's obviously like half the pay of what I was making, but it's a city job with city benefits. So it's something totally different. It's not what I'm used to, but it's also, like I said, a city job with city benefits that come with all the benefits of that. So
Yeah. I remember being in where you're at, and obviously it's not a transitional period, but it really was because in the year 2000 they brought in first of all they had the big scare of 1999, right? And I was
yep.
in the computer industry, and I knew my stuff. I was specialized in what I was doing, and everybody was just like, "Oh my God, the computers are going to change. All this stuff is going to change." Well, what changed is they brought in the HB1. They brought in all the people from India to come into our country and take away our jobs. And I think I lasted a lot longer than a lot of other people, though. When you're going through that type of a transition, it's like you do have to update your resume. You got to bullshit on your resume to a certain extent. You
Hmm.
can't say that, you're doing something that you never done before, but stretch it a little bit, right? You got to see the ad that's out there, kind of customize it. I could tell you one time I had 20 different resumes out there because I was trying to fit the bill. And you know what it comes down to is that's phony baloney stuff. Don't do that. You just have to, say this is what I've done, and just try to get into a company based upon your knowledge of where you're at, and in your age too is going to is tell a lot. So what are the companies going to do? Are they going to invest in the people, or are they waiting for these kids to get out of college that have all been MK Ultra? We're in that weird space.
Yeah, because like when I was growing up, is right. You get to get a job with a good company that you can retire from. Well, those days are long gone. So and like my job, even my job, all the work is overseas. So it's like yeah, when you work a job remotely, you can work it from anywhere. But I lost my job to overseas company, to people. So technically, it's it doesn't matter how much I knew, what experience I had, and how good I was at my job. It's all about saving the bucks with the company nowadays. How much they could save, and um, so yeah, so we're we're trying to reinvent myself at this stage. I'm still fit enough to where I could do this job if I got hired. They just said it's a city job, so they do take sometimes a long time for the hiring process to go through once they pick a candidate. So now it's just a wait and see game. Hopefully, if it's meant to be, obviously it's meant to be, and I'll get the job. Because the good thing is there's plenty of overtime. You can move up in the city jobs because they said if you as long as you get the hardest part is getting in, like most jobs. But there's also there's different departments that I can learn from and volunteer for to learn and eventually grow. And you can't beat a city job, because the city's always going to be there.
Yeah.
Unlike a company, right? Because the company, and I even told them this morning, I was like, that's my one issue is the job security because every company I've worked for, they merged with a different company or got bought out by a different company, and I lost my job just because my pay scale, nothing to do with my work ethic. So with a city job, there is no company that's going to take it over. So
Right.
I'm trying, I got to swallow my pride a little bit and or my ego, and which I usually do anyway, and get something that's not as great pay, half of what I was making, but you know if it's meant to be, it's meant to be, and I like to wing things anyway. I live in the moment, so I'm not gonna stress. I
Yeah.
can't stress over it.
Yeah. Just to let you know, I don't think we're on Rumble. Rumble makes you log in and set up each time now. I don't know what's going on with that, but that in any case, I just want to let you know if you're seeing there's not a lot of people out there. If anyone has any comments, concerns, or whatever wants to contribute any information, and if you are basically a headhunter out there, if they still have them, give some suggestions to this because there are a lot of people that are in this transitional period, Another good example would be they're removing people and replacing them with AI. They decided that AI can think a lot quicker and get the results a lot quicker. Has it been proven? I think they need to have the people and they need to have the AI before they start removing people. Now, Walmart is known for this. Um, my husband and I were watching. There's a guy that travels around the United States and he goes into different towns and stuff. And he happened to do the whole thing in Bentonville, where Walmart is at. And we just moved from that area. We didn't even recognize it. They built up. They have so much money out there. They built up, and they've got all these. The campus, the U of A out there is huge, and they've got all these kids. And the whole time I'm watching, I'm listening to this very long interview, and I'm thinking they're all brainwashed. They don't have a clue. It'll be really interesting to see how this all plays out 10 years from now with these kids and I was told as I was watching this, I was listening to what he was saying. They don't have to take tests anymore in college. Like, what the hell are they doing? They don't have to
Mhm.
study. They basically said they only had one or two classes. So I'm thinking at this point, we're going to have a lot of lame ducks out there, and I feel really bad for whatever is coming in. They're going to need people. They're going to need Gen X. They're going to need, whatever is called for. They're going to need the blue collar workers back again, big time.
Yeah. You know,
All
because
right.
because I also thought about going back to school for, well, not at school, but being a forklift operator, because AI can't take that, right?
No, the robots are though, Buck.
Yeah, eventually, but there's a lot of that's the one thing around here is a lot of warehouses. There's a lot of, everywhere I look, they're always hiring for forklift operators. Um,
Oh,
that's the
well,
one
that's
one
interesting. So you've got a
consistency I
lot
can
of
see.
distribution around you then.
Yeah, there is. We got BMW, we got Lockheed Martin. There's Boeing's not too far, so there is a lot. There's a lot of manufacturing buildings around here, which is one
Yeah,
of the
so
cons.
it's one of those things that you say, all right, well, maybe I'll just go back and take a job as long as bring in be able to provide for the family. You never know what will pop up in the company. You never know
Yeah.
who you're going to run into and stuff like that. But Buck, I got to tell you this: when 2000 hit, I think it was 2001. There was a big change in IT, and I was always so proud that I was independent and I had bought a house and I never went back to my mother. I was the only
Mm.
sibling that never asked for any money. Well, 2001 rolls around, and I had to go to her and tell her, "Mom, I can't make my mortgage," and I was living by myself. And first of all, what she had wrote to me is, "God always helps those who help themselves." Well, everybody's out there trying to help themselves, but at one point, do you basically say, "Okay, I don't understand what is actually going on there," and you do have to take a step back and turn it over to something, because otherwise you're going to make
Yeah.
yourself crazy, right? And you got to have the faith. And it's kind of like I think we're
Yep.
we're we're actually going at it at this point in time. Everybody has to have faith about something. People are hoping there's an Acera, there are people hoping there are med beds and they're holding out. They want to know that Michael Jackson is still alive or whatever it might be. Everybody's in their own little world and they all have their particular reasons about it. But when you get down to you being grounded and just trying to find a job to provide, what is it, if it used to be okay, I'm opening up a resume and if I see this guy has a lot of IT positions and he's applying for something that's totally out of his field, that means he's trying to provide for his family. Have the managers gotten away from saying, "Oh, he's only going to be here 6 months and then move on until he finds something"? I don't know if it's like that anymore, Buck. What do you think?
Well, I know for me it is because like I told the gentleman this morning, I'm a loyal person. When I say I'm going to do something, I do it. I'm not, and you can always try, obviously you always want to improve yourself. You don't want to stay stagnant and just be comfortable. Sometimes, and that's where I was. I was comfortable with my old job because I enjoyed it. I worked from home. I got paid very well, and then you get the rug pulled out from under you. So, um, but yeah, that's the one thing I like about the city position is I can always improve myself. There's always something better out there, but I'm also not looking to get a job 6 months and leave. You know,
Yeah.
if I can grow with the company, that's what I want to do. You know, the company
Yeah,
I
'cause
was with, there was
when
no
you
room.
do that, there's gonna be times where you're like, "Oh, man," you run into IT people and say, "I can kinda do that," and maybe, there would be an IT job down the road there, but don't do what I did. My ego got in the way, or and I know I've had this, that I actually thought that I was too good for that position, and people pick up on that. They pick up on your energy. But when you
Yeah,
become a service to yourself, and then all of a sudden, when I would just there's always a tragedy, and whatever that tragedy is, it humbles you, and that's where I think we're all feeling right now is that we all need to be humbled at this point in time and put our faith into things. I'm actually seeing this. I just think that right now, what's actually happening is a lot of people are maybe trusting themselves, but trusting something much bigger than them. What do you think, Buck?
I think so. Because I mean, we always want to look inside inside, because in the end, it does come down to us. But there's also, something that's out there that is unexplained. Whether high, like people say, I call a higher power, God, or whatever the term they want to use. Um, but it's that positivity and that, like you said, the hopefulness. That usually comes out. That usually works out. For the betterment of, it's more. It's a mental thing too. If I'm going to always be negative and complaining all the time, that's what I'm going to get back in return. Is a lot of
Yeah.
negativity. You know.
Yeah, but at some point there's a breaking point. I'm not saying that you should do this, and I don't think that you would do this. But at some point, you just gotta, just say, what is it that you want me to do? I believe, I totally believe, but where do I look? And then it's almost like you're doing a check on your whole ego, your whole system
Mhm.
of who you truly are. And it's just like, okay, just give it a rest, and it's great because where did you go yesterday, Buck? I thought that was great that you were doing
I
that.
went to the local baseball game here. Now it is a minor league team for the Boston Red Sox, but it was a free ticket that they gave to our recovery center, and so I took my friend who's struggling and you know right now, and she's depressed, to be
Oh
honest.
yeah.
So we went together and we went with a bunch of people from recovery, and it was a good day.
Good. Good, and that's what I mean is sometimes you just, either get your hands into the dirt or you get out and you have fun, and I'm glad that you were with a lot of other people and you were surrounded, but, it took all your worries away, and then, of
Yeah,
course, then, it got you out of one reality and put you into another one. And
yeah,
that is the best thing that you can do for yourself. If you can kinda do that every single day, I don't know. There's gotta be something, just moving the body and moving
yeah,
keeping the mind, clean. So
yeah.
we've got a statement out here from Charlene 321. Hello, Charlene, how are you doing? She says, "If July 4th comes and goes and no news about the RV or Nasera Gasera, then people will be beyond themselves for believing." How many times were there goalposts set? People are, when you throw the dates out. So yeah, 250 years are coming up. It's a great time. I lived in the bicentennial 1976, so I saw that. That was really good for the country. But now I think there's been so many changes, and I want to believe it, Buck. I really do. I'm out on X. I see a lot of bullshit. I'm out on Facebook. I see a lot of bullshit, and I'm reading bullshit very clearly now. But I think that people's hope has gotten to the point, and what is the meaning behind this, right? I'm actually going to pull a card for this. Like, what is the actual meaning for that we've held on for so long, and now we're not seeing any accountability for anything?
Mhm.
And we were hoping taxes would be taken away, right? We were hoping, for a lot of things. It all reflect around money, and I don't know about you, Buck, but we've cut back. We cut back on our bills. We basically said we don't need all this, streaming. We don't need the Netflix. We don't need this. We're cutting, cutting, cutting. We cut our insurance. We found out our cars have been paid off for like so many years. Why am I paying full blown insurance? I'm just going to go with this. And I got to the point where I said, I'm tired of paying these corporations. I want the money in my own pocket. I'm very limited. I'm only getting Social Security. And so now I'm tired of giving it away to everybody. But I think it's time that they give back to the American people after we found out what we have found out. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, because especially now with everything's expensive. Our money. First off, our money ain't. We know our money ain't worth shit. It's might as well just be monopoly money. The petrodollar ain't really petro. It's the oil companies. You got the oil their cartels, just like the drug cartels and the pharmaceutical cartels. They control the price. We manufacture and we reproduce our own oil, but we're paying more than probably most countries are with gas. And who gets richer? The oil companies. You've seen how much they profit they made over the supposedly Iran war, and Iran is only 20% of the freaking oil. So of course it's oil prices are going up, so we're going to charge extra money. Well, our money ain't backed by anything real money. It ain't backed by any gold or silver like God's money. God's money is gold and silver. It's all built on fantasy, and we still live in this world where you see people on Facebook and X complaining about, oh, gas prices are so high. Well, the gas prices were high in 2022 too, but you weren't complaining then. You also said that presidents don't control the gas prices. Now all of a sudden, because it's the other way around, blah 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 blah. It's like all people are doing complaining. Well, if you want to continue to complain, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get that negativity. Um, but yeah, it's the world. Unfortunately, we're still stuck and ruled by money. That's all most people care about is money, 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 money.
Yeah, I know. I get into that same position. Everybody does. I mean, I when we retired and came down here, neither my husband just got laid off from his job. He was the only one that had money coming in, and I wasn't working, and I had social media that didn't do shit for me, and I was kept trying to get monetized. And 10 years later, I'm still not monetized, but I love what I do. I want to
Yeah.
help one person out there as well as you do. A lot of times we just have to pray for strength and courage, right? And the strength
Mhm.
and the courage to take any fear away. And also, too, it is fear around the money, right? And people say, well, that's great, but I still need to be able to put food on the table and stuff like that. But they don't understand that if energy, there's energy of money and there's energy of faith and there's energy of your heart. If you push all of that away, you're basically making plans for failure to set you up, and don't let that sway you for any. This is a temporary obstacle right now,
Mhm.
and if you follow through on everything that you want, and this is not just for Buck, this is for anybody out there, all your endeavors and everything that you have in the back of your mind, people don't realize how powerful Buck. If you could say one thing to somebody who's got a dream and has always had this dream since they were a little kid and they never brought it to fruition, what would you tell them that this would be the time to make that dream come true? I mean, how do we handle this?
Well, it's never too late to follow your dreams. Just because somebody told you you can't do it doesn't mean that it can't be true. All hard. Nothing rewarding is easy, right? You just got to chase it. You got to start somewhere. You know, um, So the problem is starting. Like mentioned earlier, everybody gets complacent of where they're at. They're comfortable where they're at, but no growth happens when you're complacent.
So there's always one thing that you got to do differently in order to make this change happen.
Mhm.
So I'm what I'm hearing from you, Buck, and I think this is great. You're still getting out and you're living life, and you're still with people like minds, and you never know what will come of that. That's the great thing about faith is you just don't know. People talk about miracles and stuff like that, whatever you want to call it. There's something that you have in your heart, and even if you have to get down to the point where, it's like, okay, we're running really low on groceries, we're running really low on money, I can't pay this bill or whatever it might be, and then all of a sudden, out of somewhere, something comes about that. Unfortunately, people don't want to get to that point, and they start panicking about midway through this because they know there's just that fear porn that's in there. And so if you continue to hold the faith of your dreams and what it is that you're able to do, Buck, you know that you can provide for your family. You just need to get your foot in the door somewhere. What is your ideal job? I want you to put this out there now. What is the one thing that you think that you're going to be able to contribute in the workplace?
Mm. Well, obviously for me, giving back to society, just the recovery side of the addiction, drug addiction, right? Of is probably the most rewarding for me personally. To help somebody else struggling with addiction and help them overcome it. That would probably be the most rewarding for me. But even just like the community side itself, being around people, help people out, just contributing to the community and the environment. We always talk about cleaning up the environment and cleaning up the water and all this, cleaning up the soil. The humanitarian projects that so many of us want to contribute to. Um, that's the main thing is make this world a better place instead of not making it. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So this is all real good stuff to talk about. People need to hear this also too. It says, and I know that you're going to do really good, and you're going to come out really really good. We have MJ. She's from Oklahoma. I did not know that. Hey, MJ Squirrel is out there. If you guys would, I kind of asked yesterday if you would let me know where you're from. Only because there's was a lot of good information exchange yesterday on a show for somebody that was in Kansas and providing keto information and stuff like that. We had Joey G 17 that joined in on that, and it was really good because we're talking food, and there was Joey G.
And Joey G's
So
always
yeah,
good.
it looks like we're back on Rumble here. I went in and I had turned it on, and I'm so glad. Let's see here. Yeah, it says I'm MJ Squirrel. Oh, somebody's saying hi to her. Okay. Yeah, Charlene, I have interviewed Jack a lot in the past, and I think he's on Breakout or Rumble, and she's telling me he's a good one to interview. It's been a long time. Yeah, I don't even know. Have you seen him lately, Buck?
Yeah, I watched him a couple of days ago. He doesn't do as much shows as often anymore, but he still does his shows. He
Yeah.
does it on Rumble. He was having trouble on locals. A lot of people, couldn't get on locals, and he's just like the same thing. You know, he- they kind of suppress people, right? So he's not getting the algorithm. He's not catching that algorithm like some other people are.
I'm
Uh,
not either, and I'm so tired of tearing down my shows and starting them up again. I'm just gonna go with whatever it is. Talk about having faith. You
you
gotta
know,
have faith. Isn't that
faith to faith, you gotta have faith. I'm not gonna
yeah.
sing. But yeah, I mean, it's true though. You gotta have faith because without faith, I mean, what else? Faith and hope, right?
Yeah. Yeah, if we're talking about 250 years, we're gonna be celebrating in July, and that's really interesting because where were we 250 years ago? Right? And then we've come such a long way, and it's taken 250 years for us to get our country back. That's the way that I'm looking at it, and I think that right there is pretty powerful to show you how powerful people are. And we have to remember that we are energy because wherever your mind goes is where your energy goes. So if you're thinking very negative things, you're going to get negativity in return. And that's what Buck just said. So he doesn't go there. So if you want to complain, you got to go to another channel.
Yeah, I mean, people can complain and we'll listen and we'll try to give you advice, but if you don't do the inner work, it ain't gonna change nothing. Your
Yeah,
reality
yeah,
will stay the same.
yeah. So I know that I hate to say this, but God has a plan for you, and whether it's not you believe in God or whatever it might be, Spirit is working with you. You don't realize what you do, Buck, on a day to day basis, always helping people out. That just you just don't have any idea how the outcome of this is going to come. I could always pick some cards, but you could always also change your mind. You know what I'm saying? Because energy changes and you shift and you change. What's the one biggest thing that you see that is very tough for you to kind of get through right now?
Because for me, it always starts from internal. It's the confidence. Sometimes for me, I struggle with. It's confidence. And,
So let's just stop right there. So if it is confidence, I want Spirit to bring something to Buck's attention to show him. It'll shift his consciousness, and the universe will provide that. And I can tell you a story really quickly that happened with me. I took a job, and I knew I was really good at it. They didn't want to pay me a lot of money. I was in a really bad space. I took it anyways. And there was another guy that I was supposed to replace. He was an older man. He was on his way out. Well, somehow he convinced the manager there to keep him. Well, I came in. He loved to steal my ideas, my thoughts, because when I found something, and I was really good at digging and putting things together, and I get really excited about it, and I wanted to share it with them. Well, he would take his ideas and run it up to upper management. I didn't know he was doing that. And then after a while, I found this out, and I was just like, why is this happening? Do I have a big mouth or whatever it is? But that was just me. I love to share things, and when I figure things out, and it was for the warehouse, right, to improve the warehouse's processes. And then all of a sudden, one day, I had quit the company, and somebody found me on LinkedIn and said, "Hey, Janine, how are you doing? Are you still with that one company?" I said, "No, I'm not." And they go like, "You were too good for it, anyways." And that other guy they had in there, he didn't know shit. That boosts my confidence because I just thought it was me. We can get stuck in our own head believing something, and it takes something outside of us, and we don't always want that. We always People say go inside. There are times you can't go inside. There are times where we are wrapped around our own axles and our own brain, and it takes something outside to kind of give us that oomph that we need.
Yeah,
Uh,
that validation, right? Because that's me. I always, and that's why I struggle with the confidence, just because I overthink everything. I overanalyze everything. I second guess myself sometimes, So that's where I struggle with the confidence of it, because I'm always that second guessing.
I was the same way, and it is confidence. It really is. It's our own self esteem, and it's also trying to let us know at some point that we got to work on that self esteem. And what is it that we have to work on it? And that's on an individual level. It's for somebody to figure out. That's your journey. Really, that is your journey. So let's see here. Arnie is saying, "Buck." Let's see what Arnie says. If I can do what I do, you can do anything. Just do it. It sounds like a Nike commercial.
And it's funny too, because I tell people in recovery rooms sometimes that just do it, like the Nike commercial, because it does. I mean, it takes action, right? Um, to do anything.
Yeah. Yeah, so I see his Victor girl is out there saying you're going to do great things, but it's not going to be in the 3D. Well, that's real interesting because I tend to agree to disagree with that information. If you're doing things really good in the 3D, it's happening in all Ds out there. And I could be completely wrong on that, but I just think that if you weren't incarnated in this body to prove things to yourself, the reason why you came in here, there's people out there that know why that they are here. I have no idea, and I just kind of go with it and try to do the best that I can. I sometimes think that my big project was, I know, if you do numerology, I'm a number two. It's all about relationships, and if I'm trying to prove that I can have a relationship, my husband will tell you about the whole relationships things, but it's relationships across all levels, business and what have you. Yeah, and in Buck, I think you're going to be okay. Let's see what else is. Anybody else out there got some good words of wisdom for Buckshot?
Yeah, I know I'll be okay, because I got the mindset now. Where before, before an active addiction, I definitely did not have the mindset. I would go straight to drugs or alcohol. So
Oh,
that's the one thing that has blessed me in recovery, is the mindset now has changed. That
yeah.
and plus what I is what I consume too, the stuff that I watch. I don't watch a lot of the garbage. I don't stay on social media as often as I used to. Because there is a lot of negativity. So it's like anything else. What I feed my mindset is gonna come out on top. So that's why a lot of the podcasts I do watch are like spiritual podcasts or positive podcasts. Um, I don't have time. I ain't got time for the other shit.
No, I'm with you on that one. I actually turned off YouTube for well, I was out for a couple of weeks, and I was having problems with my eye big time, and I just thought that it's interesting. It was I look at things spiritually. It's my right eye moving forward, things that I want to do. I wasn't seeing something, so on and so forth. It's all that woo woo stuff. But in the gist of everything is that I couldn't see out of my eye at one point. So I really had to take care of myself. And if it was to put down any technical devices, then I did it. I'm still taking care of myself. I've got back my vision. It used to be completely blurred, and it was like, okay, now I've gotten to the point where I will only see it once in a while. But and then then there were other things too that really scared me, where people were saying, you better go to a neurologist, you better go see something. And I thought, no, I sometimes my body is talking to me and let me know whatever is not going right with me. I have to do a little bit better and change up things, and that's what we have to do all the time, is change it up.
Yep.
Who do we have out here?
Like Arnie said, the only failure is in life are the chances you don't take. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, and if you are taking chances by, you know, oh well, I'm going to send my resume to an IT. I'm going to send it to a blue collar job. I'm going to send it to white collar. It doesn't matter.
Uh,
You're putting it out there. It really doesn't matter.
nope.
There is going to be Buck. How does it work now? Is it all done through like Indeeds?
Well,
Uh,
Indeed hasn't really done anything for me. It's most LinkedIn has been most of my interviews have been on LinkedIn, but I've been going on company websites themselves. You know,
okay.
because we have like Lockheed Martin here. I've even applied for Lockheed Martin jobs. You know, the two jobs I applied for yesterday were parts of position where parts and material handling. You know, like parts and assembly was one of them, and the other one was material handling. Now, I mean, anybody can collect parts, like from the the trucks, right? Unload and separate them and put them and assemble them in a bin or whatever like that. So I apply for jobs that I think that I would be able to handle, and some of the ones that are a little bit out of my experience, but like the terminology they use, you throw enough shit on the wall, eventually it's going to stick. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
the
Oh
more the
my
more the
goodness.
more I put out there, the one it's like eventually one of them is going to catch.
Well, I'm going to ask you this because it's just my intuition. I'm not going to do any of the cards here, but there is something. There is something that I'm sensing from you that you're holding back on your energy and putting it out there. And I'm not quite sure why that would be. So, Buck, if I kind of throw a couple things, some shit on the wall here, moving out of the question for you?
No, because I've even applied for jobs that I was willing to relocate. No, my only thing that is holding me back though is the fact that Juliana still got 2 years of high school, and we don't want her to relocate out of school. Mom has done that when her dad was in the military. She's went to numerous high schools and schools, and she doesn't want her to go through that like she did, because you never make friends, you never have stability and so that's something that is dear to us, that she don't have to go to different high schools or relocate while she's in high school.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So there's another thing out here. It says, and I'm going to watch your energy. When you guys throw a bunch of jobs out, just get involved with me right now. I don't care if it's even making pizzas. Throw some things out because I want to read Buck's energy intuitively and see how he goes. Now, Buck, someone is saying, go apply for a local electrical IBEW to be an electrical apprentice, hiring like crazy. What do you think, Buck?
I could probably do that. I mean, I could do anything I put my mind to, like all of us can.
Yeah.
um but I'll be the one that probably shock myself, but yeah, I mean, yeah, I could do anything that I put my mind to, so I'd be able to do it.
Yeah. So let's see. Arnie is out there saying I was a network administrator. The interview process was a mess. The company I worked for never went by experience. It went by numbers. Numbers meaning non-white. Sad, but it was a process. Yeah, there's a lot of things out there, and hopefully the DEI bullshit is over with or ending, and depending on what part of the country that you're at. Buck, I'm going to throw this out there. If somebody said to you, "We need for you to work in a restaurant," would you do it?
I'll be a little bit reluctant to do that just because I know how people are. And we know in this day and age, right, there's two different realities for us, right? You see some of the things that people are seeing are totally like opposite of what we seeing. And the hardest industry to work on is customer service job because let's just face it, we all know most of the people are assholes.
Yeah. So we got it's Sparkette who's really pumping up this stuff. You guys, please join in if you can. Just throw some ideas out there. I want to see Buck's reaction to some of these jobs if you can. That they have out there. So is it Sparkette 74 is saying, dude, if you want to make $50 an hour in 5 years, go electrical. They start out at 18. I don't know if 18 is a lot of money or not.
It's not that much. It's about probably about 42,000 a year.
Yeah,
But I mean,
yeah.
if a job's got overtime, then you can make up for it.
Yeah, I will tell you, I dated a guy that was in electrical. I don't know what it is about people being in electrical business. I think they get shocked a little bit too much. Here we're talking about we're energy, and then they're messing with the energies and stuff like that. No, they do make a lot of good money, and they're real picky about certain jobs that they will do. I do know that. Okay, Charlene says restaurant work is hard work for the money.
For the money.
That should be a song too. Hard work for the money. I think it is. Yeah,
I
I
work
just threw
hard
that
for
out
the
just to
money,
see his face and what he
and
was
it's
going to
so
say. So,
hard for it, honey.
yeah. So Buck did roll his eyes when I said restaurant work, only because he loves to cook, and I don't think he wants to do that for a living. He does it because he loves providing it to people. He loves sharing his love of
Which, which
carrot
reminds
cake.
me, which reminds me, I do have to make carrot cake. The guys gave me money to make carrot cake tonight, so I got to make carrot cake and bring it in tomorrow to the facility.
Yeah, that's great. So, like, I happen to be in a tourist area. Nearly, my nephew came down from Chicago. I don't even know where the heck he's at now. But he said there were no jobs here. It's hospitality, and not a lot of people could do that, especially if you're used to doing something else. In Chicago, you've got the whole gamut of anything that you want. Used to. I don't know what it's like anymore. I've been gone from there for about 10 years. Every big city is changing, and I think that's part of the energy that Buck you might be feeling is everybody is trying to find out what the heck is going on in the industry. So you got AI, that's taking over jobs. You got this. I just think it's kind of like it's not you, Buck. I think it's the world right now. I just think it's the placement of companies, where they're going, what they're doing. And if you're finding that people are kind of stalling on stuff, I think that's the reason why. I think technology is so different right now. And I know that's where your heart is at and you're good at it. I just think that something is going to open up once these companies get their head out of their asses.
Yeah, because I'm good at multitasking, which is why the overthinking and overanalyzing thing I work. That's why I was good at my job and repairing telecommunication stuff because you did have to multitask and do all that stuff. And we don't know the new technologies that are going to be coming out, what they entail. So that's the other thing that's kind of like, okay, well, electrician is probably going to be good, but what happens when there is free energy devices where we can just plug a box on our wall? There won't be no need for electricity. I don't, the main thing, like I told the guy in the interview today, was the stability. I don't want to have a job in 10, worrying about I'm going to lose my job in 10 years.
Yeah.
And that was the one thing I did sign up to apply for the city of Greenville job, was because the city's always going to be need cleaning. There's
Yep.
not going to, because it cleaning out the garbage pails, cleaning up the brush, the trees that fall down. If there's a winter storm, salt the sidewalks. If somebody happens to dump trash on the side of the road, clean that up. Stuff like
And
that.
you get good benefits too.
And the benefits are outstanding. There's city government. The guy told me they pretty much government benefits. And that's a job that is more stable. Because
Yeah.
that's the one thing that's been my concern is, I got with the family, right? They need benefits. Me, I'm usually a healthy person, but it's that stability, and a lot of these industries, we don't know where they're going to be with a lot of technologies
Buck,
coming
I
out.
don't know. I don't know how that interview went for you, but just you talking about the energy seems very much aligned for you. Not only that, you're more involved with a lot of people, outside, inside. It just seems like it. I hope that you get another interview or whatever comes out of it. That's just fine. Firefighter Scott Pace is out there saying firefighters either wildlands or structure or both.
I wanted to be a firefighter growing up. And I did some of the practice tests that New York City firemen did. Unfortunately, drugs had a control of my life then.
Yeah,
So I haven't never really got back into it. They do have a lot of volunteer firefighters around here. Um, because like I said earlier, the main thing is giving back to the community, right?
yeah.
That's been being a contributing member of society, like most of us should want to be.
I don't know, that whole thing with you working for, the city sounds very, very good. I hope something comes of that. I hope that the guy picked up on your energy as I am. So we have Arnie out there who's basically saying we've got about 2 to 3 years, and I agree with him before the big changes happen. I honestly just said that, Arnie, to
Mhm.
my husband. And then I said, well, after Trump is out of there, what's going to happen? A lot of people are talking about that too. But anyways, let's get back to Buck. You just got to roll with the flow right now and stay positive,
They
says
got to ride
Arnie.
that ripple of wave, right? They got to
Yeah,
ride that
ride
wave
that
like a
ripple of
surfer.
wave. And that's what actually the companies are doing out there. That it really is. They're riding a wave. This interview that I saw that happened to take place in Bentonville, Arkansas, there was a big shot guy that just said, this is so unstable right now. He says nobody knows what is happening. And I think that's what you're feeling, Buck. If you go from a really, if you go deep inside of it, it's not your confidence that is not knowing what is happening. You're picking up on things at a much bigger perspective and saying, holy shit, nobody knows their ass from their, you know what. So, it's just what is happening right now. And unfortunately, the people that are looking for jobs and need the jobs are maybe just going to have to take whatever comes along to survive. And I hate saying that, but that's the truth.
Yeah, yeah. I think that you're right with That's where the confidence struggles because like I said, we don't know what the future holds, where our technology is going to lead us, even AI, right? Um, so yeah, it's just for me, it's just going with the flow has been staying in the moment has been my go to for now.
Yeah, I would have to say to everybody, and if anyone has anything else that disagrees with me, try everything and anything, because maybe this is just a time where everything is changing, and we don't know if Buck should be staying in IT. We know he's loyal. He's also very much loves to be in service of people, and what he was just saying there about that city job, and if it's not this city job, he's making connections with other people, and maybe something else will come along, right?
Yep, I believe that. You know,
Yeah, I think you're a great networker. I really do. You have an archetype of a networker. And when you have that type, people remember you. They remember good things, and it'll stay in the back of their mind. I hope there's something comes of that one. All right, let's see what else we have going on out there right now. We have 17 people that are watching us. We're out on Rumble. Finally, we got out there. Um, yeah, so let's see here. Anybody else have any other suggestions? I'm just trying to read Buck's energy and see where he's coming from. Put any type of job out there. What do you think he'll be really good at? I'd like to hear from you guys also. Okay. So what else you have going on, Buck? Anything else you're looking forward to?
not at the moment. Nothing really adventurous going on in my life at the moment. Um, just living today, living for the now, staying positive as best as I can, helping out in recovery. That's pretty much my focus. Um, take Eventually, sometimes I'll do the Instacart and DoorDash in the evenings to make some extra cash on the side to help get pay for the food. Um,
Hey, I got to
because
ask you something about that. So, did this happen? My husband told me that people will DoorDash for like Walmart that wants their groceries delivered. Is that true?
yes, it's called Spark, I believe, is the name for it. So you can actually, you pretty much delivering for Walmart. So they got
Yeah,
that too. You got Uber Eats, you got DoorDash, you got Instacart. You also got Amazon Flex driving. So there's other opportunities for people to make money on the side. Now the
yeah,
Instacart, I've done. To be honest, in South Carolina, people are cheap bastards. I
yeah.
mean, majority of the orders, they want you to like shop for like 20 groceries and tip you $2. It's like you do a half hour, an hour worth of work. It's less than minimum wage, and then you got to use your car, and with gas, and now the gas the way it is, it's like it's less than minimum wage. And sometimes people don't even tip you at all.
Oh,
You
I
know, you,
know.
you
So
do have
speaking of the tipping, I never knew how that worked for the Walmart, right? So I ordered,
yeah,
it was all essentials. I don't want them picking out, and we don't buy a lot of food there. We go to the butcher for our meat and stuff like that. But toilet paper, Kleenex, stuff like that. Yeah, let them do that. So my husband says to me, he goes, "I know you're kind of a cheapskate when it comes to tipping," and so he goes, they won't even deliver your order if you go really cheap. And I said, "What?" He goes, "They won't. They'll leave it there and they'll delay it." And he says because he goes DoorDash, people are the ones that are helping out Walmart and stuff like that. I'm like, I did not know that.
yeah.
But so people don't be cheap.
Well, they let's just say people still take it because people are still I don't take it. I'll try to take it if if it's like $2 a mile, right? But there's sometimes I've shown people screenshots that they want you to go, like I said, get 20 items, right? Which takes about a half hour. It takes about a minute per item easily. That's if you can find it on time. And then, so that's about a half hour. And then you got to drive to the person's house, which is probably another 15, 20 minutes. So it's like, you know, I did one earlier today. She ordered the cool Jersey bed sheets or cool. I think it was cool. Two of them at home, at the store at home. And I went there. There was only one of them that she wanted because she wanted black only. And I got paid $11, and it took me 45 minutes because I had to go in there, I had to locate them, and then they were all the way on the top and all the way. So I had to go get a ladder to get it, and then I had to wait for her to respond. Do you want this or not? So after all said and done, between going there, picking up the item, it was 45 minutes for $11. And it was 8 miles from the store. That's time consuming for 11. That's $11 for a 45-minute job. It's below minimum wage, and you're putting wear and tear on your car, and
Yeah.
not including the gas money. Now she did tip me $6. So just think the whole order and shopping was only $5.
Oh
But
wow. That's what I mean is that things are so out of balance right now. You've got things that, it just nothing is lining up. Like they're not giving humans the right amount of money to survive. Even people, Social Security people cannot live off of what they're getting paid, and it's always been that way with Social Security. Now I'm just kind of hoping, when does this balance out? Like Arnie was saying, it's going to take a couple of years. I believe that with Social Security, it's going to take a couple of years. I believe next year they're going to start looking at insurance for your house and your car and all this other stuff. They haven't even gotten there yet, right? They're just going after all the fraud, which is
yeah,
good, but I want to see accountability. And then what you're saying here too, you worked your ass off just to get that one product for that lady. I'm sure she's awfully grateful, but it's got to balance out the energy of what you put into it and the energy of her getting her product. And yeah, she paid you, a $6 tip. It's they need to be able to do something with that. You know, giving people more money. I mean,
yeah, and even like when Amanda does like the Uber and Lyft driving. I mean, they take more than half of the money. It's like you don't do it. They don't do a darn thing, but get the job and post it. Get the okay. This person needs a lift, and you get more than half of the money. You ain't doing nothing but being the middleman. But the person that has got to go there, pick them up, wait for the person to get ready, then come to the car, and then drive them and get them home safely. And like I said, people don't tip. Amanda drives them home drunk, and you think they would be nice enough. Okay, I got you home safe and alive, and you don't have the decency to tip. It's just
yeah.
it's just crazy how they work. You know,
I know. I know my husband is a big tipper. That's why he always signs. If it was up to me, we probably wouldn't. We probably have the chefs spitting in our food.
yeah,
It says AO is out there. Hey AO, she's in the Netherlands, I believe, and says, Hey everyone, missed the beginning. Surprise book that you have to pick the item off the shelf as well
Oh,
as deliver. Over
oh
here, the
yeah.
stores puts the item together and the driver just delivers it. Yeah, what's up with that, Buck?
Oh yeah. You got it for the Instacart. You got to go to the store. You get the order, and then you got to go to the store and actually shop for them, right? And it's it depends on how much what people order too. Um, like today, the one that I took was only two items. It was the same item, so you kind of go in and out. There was the first time I ever did it. I went to the Aldi store, ALDI. It's over here. The person ordered 72 items, 72. By the time it was for 20 something dollars. By the time I got everything, drove to the person's house, it was like an hour and 52 minutes took me to find all the groceries and deliver to the person's house for 20 something dollars. And then I had to come back from the house. I mean, it's just, to me, it's not worth it. You know, yeah, it's just
Yeah,
crazy that you got to, and then people don't, you got to shop for people and deliver it and they don't tip, or they give you like $1, $2 tip.
okay, you guys, you got to bring me back into some sort of real world thing here because I thought baby boomers are still working. Your generation, Buck, is waiting for them to get out of the way so that they can get the jobs that they need to be getting. And then you've got these young kids that don't want any of these jobs. Nobody, like I said, I'm in a hospitality area. There's restaurants and hotels and beaches. Well, they can't find anybody to younger people to take these jobs down here. This is just my particular area, and so I'm just trying to figure out who the hell's doing all this work out there. It's just that's why I asked you: are you willing to relocate and go to a particular area where maybe your energy will fit in and you could find that job? I have no idea. It just seems like people in their 80s are still working these retail jobs. They're doing what you're doing just to make a buck. It's just crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, my unemployment barely covers my rent. So the extra money that I've been doing driving, it helps finish paying the rent off and, pay for food. And even food's expensive, and unfortunately, we don't eat the healthiest because, I'm out driving a lot of times. So I don't have time to cook. And even fast food is expensive, like,
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know. We were just talking about that, my husband and I, and we were actually seeing they are remodeling the Taco Bells and the Burger Kings, and they're trying to come back. The CEO supposedly said, "Hey, we know our food was crap. Now they're trying to get back to the way that they were." We saw Pizza Hut. I think there's going back to the buffet. They need to get back to the prices. And not only that, every new building that they put up around here, at least, everything is gray or brown. Where's all the color? We're still being bamboozled on a level that we got that hope and that faith that we talked about in the beginning of the show, but still, I don't see a lot of changes. I just still see private equity still in charge and corporations are still in charge. As some people out here were saying in the chat, insurance is just illegal theft. I think that was coming from Charlene and Arnie were comparing notes on that. All of this stuff. Do you remember at one point in time? Maybe you don't. You didn't have to have insurance. You didn't have to have to drive a car, and now you have to cover the other person. It's just a bunch of bullshit.
yeah,
Arnie is saying young generations. I want to hear what this is. Was programmed for socialism, and they don't give. This is they want it all, giving nothing. Yeah, that's the mentality. I see it more about what about me? What about me? Right? It's that
yeah,
mentality.
yep,
Let's see here. We have Sparkette is back in the picture here. Buck, the electrical industry is earn while you learn. Every employer has to give school days off. You only go to school once every 2 weeks. That might be something. Is
yeah.
Sparkette in the industry? Is Sparkette know about this?
I don't know. Because I did, when I was in New York, I waited on the line to be a plumber to go into the plumbers union, but that didn't work out.
Yeah.
Well, look, here's an example that I sent a friend one day, right? So They wanted they wanted to pay me 10.29 to go 5.6 miles, no tip, but 33 items.
Ah,
So you
well,
want
they,
me to
you know,
shop?
I think about stuff like that too, Buck. People are, it could be people that don't have the money to do it, and the ones that
Yeah.
do have the money tip. I don't know.
Well,
Am I being too naive?
no, I mean it's just people are cheap here. You want me to shop 38? You want me to get 38 items for you? I got to go to the store, then go shopping for you. Then after I get all the stuff, and then drive 5.9 miles to your house, and you're not going to tip me. No, thank you.
Yeah. Well, first of all, if they're using the Instacart, they got money because otherwise, if they didn't have the money, they'd be watching their P's and the Q's and going through the store comparing prices. That's how I am. I don't know. Maybe I'm old school. Anybody else out there old school? Because I look at everything. Here's a good example. I was reading an article that Amazon got their hands slapped because if you're looking to purchase something, and let's just say you go to Home Depot, you go to Lowe's, and you go to Amazon, right? Amazon was basically figuring out a way to see you as your user where you are shopping and see where the, let's say Home Depot had the cheapest price. They would, if their price was a little bit higher, Amazon would automatically lower the pricing so that you would go to Amazon to get it. And but if the prices was a little bit higher and they were lower, they would higher the pricing. I don't know who caught them. Maybe it was Elon Musk, but they're another way of messing with technology and screwing the average person.
Yeah.
Um, what does Sparkett says? They take everybody that can do math, Buck.
Here's one. This person just I turned it on to see what's going on. $5.14, 4.4 miles. You want me to get 15 items for you, and you're not going to tip. 15. I so you want me to go to the store for you, get I'm sorry, 12 items, and you go 4.4 miles after I go shopping for you, and you're not going to tip me.
I didn't even know that they had that. You know, why aren't people getting up off their asses and go get their own groceries? I mean, I'm glad that they have that, but you know,
Oh, and I'm sorry. Look, it shows you it's for two houses. You see the two houses?
yeah. Oh,
So I gotta go shop for two people, and not either one of
what?
them gave me would give it. Some idiot's gonna take that. But what kind of BS is that? That two people ordered 12 items. I got to go to two different houses, and neither one of them are tipping.
Oh my God.
Oh, okay, but look at the faces there. I forgot my video's up.
Yeah, that's I had no idea that all that stuff it goes on. I live under a rock when it comes to that because when we want something, we get up and we go and we get it, and we'll do comparison shopping. I always do the comparison shopping, but my God, AO says flag that job, Buck, not worth it.
No, it ain't. That's why I say I only grab the ones that are worth it, and sometimes and a lot of times they're not worth it. So
Yeah.
it's just like that one. It's just like you, and then I got to drive after I drive the 4.4 miles. I got to drive back. So
Oh, Sparkette says old people can't drive anymore. Yeah. Well, you know,
oh,
especially if they're living on a budget and they're on Social Security, but I didn't know that old people were using the apps and stuff like that.
oh,
I just found out about freaking Walmart could deliver it. I just found this out. I mean,
I
I,
did that the other day. A lady
I don't
gave
want
me
to know.
11. An old lady. Yeah, I did that for an old lady. I went to the shopping for her. She gave me a $13 tip. And then when I go
Arnie,
to
what?
hand her the bag, she's like, "You better off leaving it on the floor, so because it's easier for me to grab instead of handing it to her because she couldn't." She's like, "It's easy for me to bend over and grab it than for you to hand it to me."
Oh,
Probably because
wow.
she couldn't handle all the bags. I mean, because there was a decent amount of bags, but yeah, she was like, but she gave me a tip, and she was an older lady.
Yeah, Arnie is saying it's called Insta theft. What is it called? Instacart or something?
Instacart. Yeah. Insta theft. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. I didn't know that this shit was going on. Yeah, and here you are just trying to make a living, and yeah, you really do got to take inventory of all of this stuff and figure it out. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So, Yeah. So I don't know what the top jobs are out there. Have you ever run it through AI in your area? Like go to Grok and say where are they looking for help and what are their requirements? Put your resume up against a algorithm or AI and see what it comes back. I mean, that's just a thought.
Yeah.
Mary Jean says I've been MIA for a while. I'm writing a book. Hey, congratulations on that. Good luck to you.
Ooh, good luck.
Yeah. Speaking of this, I think on June 4th, which is right around the corner, we got June coming up. I'm going to have someone from the past that used to be a moderator for me back in the day of Turn the Page. If you guys want to chime in and set your subscription, whatever, turn on the likes. Her name is Jen Ryder. We're going to have fun. I was picking up on the energy for that also. I think we're going to do really good. So look forward to that. Let's see here. What else do we have? Drywallers and painters and concrete is hiring. You want to know something? Those blue collar jobs out there are looking for people because you've got these young kids. We were fortunate. We had some landscaping work done after we sold our boat. We realized our boat killed a lot of our backyard. We had this young kid, 23 years old. He was busting ass. And I was surprised, he gave us a fair price across the board with everyone else. We gave it to him because he's a 23-year-old kid starting out and really bust his ass to do the work. I don't see a lot of young kids out there doing it unless, I don't know. And maybe it's my mindset. I think they're all computer geeks.
Yeah.
Let's see here. It says, I saw there were AI jobs where you train AI for $20 an hour. She said she found it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. AI is just one of those things that I'm not sitting with it right. They want AI to replace a lot of jobs, but how do they know that AI is going to be good at it? It's just too new.
Yeah. And AI, the good AI will be better in the near future anyway.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see. I just want to throw out a little thing to Mary. She said she's writing a book. Can you just put in there what are you writing the book about? We give you a little shout out here. That not a lot of people can write books. I know that I can't.
Yeah, I can't either.
Yeah,
I don't have the patience for that. Because I got that squirrely mind, which is why I was good at my job, right? That
yeah. Oh yeah,
overthinking it.
multitasking.
Yeah. I get in my own head and mess everything up.
Yeah. Well, Buck, I think you're going to be okay. I truly believe that. What I'd like for you to do is, if you got your oracle cards, to pull a card for you
Pull card for me. I
and
do
read
have
it.
them.
Yeah,
They're always right on the side because I do pull for people out, when I'm not on here. I do have a bunch of friends that say, "Can you just pull me a card?" Um, Now I'm trying to, a friend suggested I should, because the readings are a little long. Now I don't mind, that maybe I should try, give it using my own intuition and narrowing them down a little bit. Pick out things that I like out of the reading and put it on a notepad. So I'm not sitting there for a few minutes and not, you know, making that eye contact, right? So I was thinking about doing that. I just haven't had the time to really sit back and do it. The card I picked was Diana,
ooh.
but it's backwards. But
So before you get started, yes, Buck. This is Buckshot pulling a card for himself and giving himself the message that he needs to hear today out of his
uh,
oracle cards.
yeah, 'cause I usually don't pick for myself. I usually pick for other people.
I know we're testing you today.
All right, so I guess I'm gonna read this whole thing. Like I said, somebody did suggest maybe I should pick some things out of it and write on my own notepad to shorten it up a little bit. So, but it does say, "I am Diana, goddess of the hunt, and I live internal. Now is the time for you to draw your bow. Time to pull your arrow taut. and let it pierce the veil of the false self you have carried too long. The illusion that limits you are but shadows, fragile, waiting to be shattered by the force of the true power. Anger, harness it well, for it is a mighty fuel. It's hard for me to be angry, though. Not the wild rage that consumes, but the first that ignites justice within. Aim it not outward, but inward. The fire that ignites justice within. Oh, I just sorry I messed that up. Aim it not outward, but inward against the injustice you have dealt yourself. For every moment of doubt, every whisper of unworthiness, you have been your own greatest adversary. Now strike with force of your will against the lie that you cannot feel what your heart craves you feel. Gather your energy, let it rise from the deep within, the base of your spine, where the flame of your spirit smolders. Let it surge upward, like the great phoenix reborn from ash. With each breath, let it ascend through your body, ignite every nerve until it bursts forth in action. Understand this: energy does not move forward in grief or despair. These are the chains that bind you, the anchors that keep you stagnant, and you will be your own undoing if you allow them. Cast them off, for you are not born of sorrow, you are born of great spirit of love, the essence of truth and light, and I stand with you even at your side. Sharpen your sight even when your eyes fail you. Feel the world with every sense. As you stand poised with your bow, drawn blindfoldedly by uncertainty, let your awareness heighten. Feel the earth beneath your feet and subtle breeze upon your skin, the heartbeat of the world around you. Now, know this stillness, this quietude, for it lies in your strength. As you aim your arrow, feel the connection to your target, no matter how distant it may seem. You must become the arrow, become the bridge between you and your goal. Let your sense guide you, every muscle, every breath, in perfect harmony. Know that the wind, not as an obstacle, but as a guide. Know your body as an extension of your spirit. And this sacred state presence, let your arrow fly. And as it soars, watch it shatter time itself, bursting into a billion of radiant light particles. Watch them drift and cascade like stars in slow motion, each one a reflection of your success, your truth. Feel the power in your hands as you release the illusion, as you release yourself. The target is not just ahead, it is already within you. Strike true and let your soul rejoice in its freedom.
Well, well, well. I think that pegged it really well because it's what we said in the beginning. If
Yep.
you guys didn't catch the beginning of this, please go back. I know that Rumble came in a little bit later. Also, too, yeah, I wanted to ask you, Buck. I know that we usually do a show on Saturday. I don't know if you're available, but there's some questions out there about data center. If you and Arnie want to join us, on Saturday or Sunday, whatever is available. I'd love to have both of you on there to talk about the data centers.
Yeah, I'll be available Saturday. Saturday night I'm going fishing again. My friend wants to take me out. He wants to go about 6 o'clock at night. So he wants to go night fishing because it's supposed to be a full moon, right?
Oh,
I think it's the blue full moon or full blue moon or something like that.
good for cleansing.
Yeah, so he wants to go out and go fishing. So I won't be available Sunday, but
Okay.
Saturday.
If Arnie is still with us, just let me know. You can text me, Arnie. I'm not sure. This is a last minute thought. But a lot of people are concerned about the data centers. I've heard some other people talk about it. Some people take it very lightly. They say we need all these data centers for AI, and we really don't. Buck, thank you so much. You've really put your heart out there for us today to see, and I appreciate it. And that I know that last card kind of got to you a little bit, but um, yeah, I would have to say that that was spirit definitely speaking to you. You are a hell of a lot. Um, I don't know how to put this here. I just wish that you could see what we see.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Oh, it's Arnie's 60th birthday on
Ooh,
Saturday.
happy
He, he's going to be
birthday.
with his family. So we could always hold off on that. And it's a blue moon,
Okay.
says Sparkette. We could
Yep.
hold off on the data center. And we could talk about something else. This is really good. Everybody wish Arnie happy birthday for Saturday. He won't be
Two,
with us.
all right. 2 more days. Happy birthday on it.
Yeah, 60. He's hitting the big O 60.
Yep. There you
Yeah,
go.
let's see
You don't
here.
look 60. Come on. You're really 60.
He doesn't look it.
No.
I didn't I when wrote that, I saw it. I think he wrote it to me out on Facebook, and I'm like, he's 60. All right, birthday wishes for Arnie. Everybody, sending him lots of love. Thank you for sharing that, Arnie. Appreciate it, Arnie. You're going to be 60. Happy blessed
Yep.
born day.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah. All right, Buck. Thank you so much.
You're
And
welcome.
just be, Buck. Just be. There's no doing here. It's just us being humans at this point, and it will all flow. It will flow. Just like that statement said, when you worry, energy goes nowhere. When you're stressed, it goes nowhere, and you want your energy to flow at this time. And I know you getting out on the boat, going around with a lot of people is helping you get through this.
Yeah.
Take care, everyone. Bye.